Do you ever get tired of using the same chords over and over again? I certainly do. So today on Dr. Doug's Daily Tips for How to Write Great LDS Church Music, I'm going to show you a little technique to make same old chords have a little more interesting arrival. Okay? Sometimes you can add notes to the same old chords that make those chords different. Other times you can connect the chords differently. And that's what we're going to look at today. So this is hymn 133 in the LDS Hymn No, Father in Heaven. And right in the opening passage, there is a connector that connects a regular old 1 chord to a regular old 4 chord. Going from 1 to 4 is so common. Everybody and their dog goes from 1 to 4. And I do too. It's a beautiful sound. Or you might get it down here, you might get it inverted. That's all 1, 4, 1. Okay, you're gonna use this a lot. It happens in lots of music, and it's perfectly good chord progression to use. But you can make it more poignant and more interesting by using this little secret passageway that adds a little bit of emotion to the motion between the 2 chords. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to play this first phrase for you, but first I'm going to play it without the D sharp. Okay? Here's what it sounds like. Perfectly fine. Nothing wrong with it. It's a very good, no error kind of chord progression. But if we add the D sharp back in, the altos give us this little bit of emotional weight. Okay? Did you hear that? Da-da-dum. And there's also a ripple effect afterwards. So we get this lovely emotional bit of juice on the D sharp, but then the D sharp goes away. So we get the return to the D natural, which also is a little bit of something extra to our ear, because since we introduced the D sharp, now our ear, whether we know it or not, is wondering, are we going to get the D sharp again? We actually do in the second line. We get a few D sharps, but at the end of this phrase, it returns to D natural. So that's like a ripple effect, kind of a little emotional echo of what has just happened, but in reverse. Alto, alto, angsty resolution that goes back to where it came from. So it's like the angst dissolved, both by going through the D to the D sharp up to the E. The arrival at the E resolves the D sharp, but what really resolves it is then the return to D natural. It's like, oh, okay, the thorn was removed. We're all bandaged up and we're okay. All right, simple little technique. But what happens is we take this regular 1 chord, and it's not just a random note that we're adding. We're taking the 5th of the chord and we're raising it. And that's what we call an augmented chord, which we usually just use a plus sign to indicate. So you would write G plus, or in Roman numerals, you'd write 1 plus. Augmented chord. But augmented chords are not stable. They are on the move. They need to resolve. And when you raise things, how do they resolve? They resolve up. When you lower things, like flat, how do they resolve? They resolve down. So this D sharp needs to go up. This is an excellent technique to use to add a little something between normal chords. The best way to find a place to use this is to find 2 chords that are next to each other that have one of the voices stepping in a whole step. To be more specific, the 5th of the chord going up in a whole step. So if you have a fifth of a chord, like here, this is the fifth of a major chord, and it's going to eventually go up a whole step to E in the next chord. Whatever the next chord is, it doesn't really matter, but that's the time when using an augmented motion works super well. You take the fifth of the chord, you raise it, and then you resolve it afterwards. Okay, augmented chords. Super useful, very easy. Just adding that sharp in just the right place from the fifth of the chord, that's going to go a step up to the next chord, and you've nailed it. If you enjoyed this tip, please hit subscribe and ring the bell so you get notified each time I post a video like this. And if you'd like more tips for how to write great LDS church music, please head over to latterdaymusiversity.com to get more. Thanks very much, and we'll see you next time.